Hey gorgeous, welcome to Happy Go Fabulous. I am so thrilled that you're here. This is our space where we get real about life, the good, the messy and all the juicy bits in between. Real talk, real life and a whole lot of delicious living. But I must warn you, listening may cause unexpected outbreaks of fabulousness and real life magic. Hi, I'm Catherine and I am so incredibly passionate about helping inspired, motivated, impact-driven, freedom-seeking people just like you to do the deep inner work to create those beautiful outer wonders in life. It's all about revolutionising your relationship with yourself, where you fall madly, deeply in love with who you are and create a life so fabulous you can't wait to jump out of bed every morning to live it. Ready? Because ordinary living is so last season. Life's waiting and it's time to make it fabulous. Let's shimmy on in. Welcome to this week's podcast of Happy Go Fabulous, and I am so excited that I have a beautiful guest with me today, the first guest in this series of Happy Go Fabulous, and I'm welcoming Leigh White. And Leigh and I connected, only late last year, and we were part of a business networking group that had, I think it was a breakfast catch-up, and both that day I remember Leigh and I met and we both were almost not going to attend, and we just went, let's just rock up. And in this business networking group, they normally have sort of 4 or 5 people in a breakout group, but this day it was just Leigh and I. And we introduced ourselves and we had so much in common that we just struck up a friendship straight away. And I really want to pick Leigh's brains. We had a lot of common life events. And so we're going to record a couple of episodes together. And this one is about post-traumatic growth. So we both had loss and grief as a common theme. But before we go into that, Leigh, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here, Catherine. I've been looking forward to this for literally months, and it's really exciting to be here. I love what you do and what you share with everybody.
Awesome. I'm just getting a little notice that my internet's a bit unstable, so hopefully that's all okay for us. Leigh, tell us a little bit about, for our listeners and viewers, just tell us a little bit about you, what phase of life you're in, a little bit about your business, and then we'll go into all the juicy goodness.
There is so much to tell for both of us, isn't there? So I am in my midlife, I guess you would say. I'll be 54 in April, and what I do on my birthday every year is I go horse riding at a place near me with my daughter, who's now, she'll be 20 this year, and a very dear friend that I rode with in pony clubs when I was a kid. So that is always a big event. So we live in Sydney, near the beach, and I have done a lot of ocean swimming in my time, and that's actually something that's really important to me, is that thing of being out in nature and exercising, because I find that it has served me really, really well. I think I have to get all of the bugs out before I can start my day in my business. And I had worked as a marketer in book publishing, and we had a really exciting slate of books from the Hay House books imprint and from all of the other big names, Danielle Steele and blah, blah, blah. But I was really interested in the Hay House books. And then I went into a different type of publishing, which is video game publishing, believe it or not. And so I had a long career in different types of creative publishing and in that high-tech sector, sort of when the internet was quite new. And then I left when I started a family. I went out on my own, and I have been in business since 2004 as a media advisor, and now I teach people how to share their voice, especially like if they want to impact the world. That's what I really love, and business owners as well, but anyone that's innovating and making the world a better place.
Oh, I love that. I did not know that you're a video game publisher.
Yeah, don't play them, but yeah.
Yes, I don't play them either. I don't play them. But that's cool, isn't it? And we're going to talk about that in a minute too, about how events of our lives have sort of led us to where we are. I'm an April baby too. Are you mid-April?
Yeah, 17th.
I'm the 15th.
Wow, that is so close.
I'm not sure what date this goes to air. I've got a feeling it'll be around about that. So that's really interesting
Happy birthday
too.
episode.
So you're Aries. You're Aries.
Yes, yeah.
Fire. No wonder we clicked. Got that fire energy around us.
Yeah, get stuff done.
Get stuff done.
What's your rising sign?
Libra.
Do you know? Pardon?
Libra.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm Pisces. So we balance it all out.
Oh, we do balance it out. We do balance it out. And we're going to do another episode after this one that's going to be all about energy and stuff as well. So we'll do this trauma one first. We'll do this forward one first. So one of the things when Leigh and I got together, we did have some common life experience that we had shared. Leigh, tell me, what's trauma? Like, what are gosh, how long have we got for this episode?
Yeah.
What are some of the key trauma experiences in your life?
Well, I was about to say, I'm sad to say, but we are some product of everything we experience. So I'm pleased to say I've experienced very very damaging and devastating relationship breakdown. I think that is a form of trauma that's very hard for people to reconcile and get through. And I've experienced loss and grief, death of my brother that was really, really close to me. And I've also had health issues in the form of it was actually a horse riding accident, but I was 17, I was in the last year of high school and had a really serious, almost like near-death type horse accident and was in hospital for a month afterwards with a big head injury and all of the things. So that stopped me in my tracks. And so those traumas are the ones that spring to mind because for me, those really big ones are when you stop. Everything stops and you are changed forever. And I guess that's our theme today.
Yeah, it is. And that was where, when we first met, we did get into trauma pretty quickly, didn't we? We got into
I picked up something you said. You had made a statement and I thought, I know what that is. And it sounded familiar around losing someone special. Yeah.
Yes. And what that was about was because we met late last year and we were talking about what we did in business. And I said I was going through major transitions, that we had moved and I was learning to fall back in love with life again. And that was after the loss of my niece. So she suddenly passed away last year. And that was, and we just dove in really quickly around that connection. It felt really safe to be able to share.
That's right. And I was so sorry to hear of your niece's passing because it will always be more difficult when it's a person that's so young and we see so much potential in their lives. Yeah. So I really feel for you.
Yeah. And any loss is, it's challenging and we all experience it differently. And I guess the big traumas or the main key traumas in my life were when my mum passed away. So that was the day before my 12th birthday. So that's coming up to 57 years ago. And that still affects me. Like I'm feeling that emotion coming up, coming close to my birthday and, the day before my birthday. So there was many, many years that I hated my birthday because what that represented. And
significant.
So significant, that 12-year-old, or not even 12-year-old, but the 11, almost 12-year-old. And I have actually been able to heal from that. But that's certainly been a significant trauma. And then all the follow-on stuff, the residual stuff from that has been traumatic as well. And my dad passing away with dementia and a debilitating illness my husband's mum and then my niece have been sort of the key ones. And I guess even more recently, not the loss of someone, but my dog got very, very brutally attacked at Christmas time. And that I'm in that trauma at the moment. I'm navigating that trauma. And it's a different response to death and loss. It's a holy shit. So anyway, we'll talk about our responses. So how you were really close to your brother?
Yes.
Yes. So how did that affect you? How did that affect you?
Well, he was, I guess you'd call my second brother, so my closest age sibling. His name is Vernon, and he died at the age of 38. And that was in 2006. And I just remember the day where everything changed for me so much, because it was, I was busy. I had a pretty newish PR consultancy at the time, and I had a contract that meant I had to drive out to work with a small team. And sometimes it's quite amazing, like you and I meeting, where I was when everything happened was very kind of divinely aligned for me. I didn't know that. I was just getting up, going to work. It was a really rainy day. I think I had a nanny. My daughter was less than 1 and my son was about 2.5. And I just knew I had to get quite a distance to this location. So I went up to get a coffee, and it was a really dark and rainy day. And when I pulled up in my car, straight away I realised that my brother was parked in front of me. So he was at the same coffee shop, and I thought, I kind of want to see him, but I'm in a hurry, and that hurry mentality. And I went in and I got my coffee and I came out and I got into his car and I had a chat with him. We just talked about normal stuff, and I said, I've got to go, I'm in a hurry. And that was the last time I saw him alive. And it was sometime in the days or maybe week after where he went missing, and there were some big events that had happened for him around that time, but he went missing, and we eventually I think maybe we found out, we heard the news, and like my whole world just stopped overnight. I can remember the day so clearly, because I was, it's like we're always trying to fill in time. You've got young kids, and I had them at one of those play centres. It was probably raining again. And I was with 2 really close friends, and we were there for a few hours. And after being with them for like 2 hours, we were sitting having coffee, and I just said, my brother's gone missing. And they just could not believe that I was just going about my day. And I think when you have a person in the family that maybe has had some difficulty, or maybe you just can't even deal with what is going on and you're trying to just take care of your kids, that's how it all went that day. And so then my whole world just stopped overnight. And I really, the trauma was, it's so difficult, I think, as a sibling, because I felt, you're very, very close with your sibling, but you feel like it must be worse for mum and dad, obviously. And that is, I don't think, true, but that's what we do. Maybe not everybody does. That's what I did. And so I was really struggling, and I ended up emailing my clients and telling them what was happening, because it was really fortunate, because I'd been working in video gaming, and I now was out on my own as an independent consultant. So I had clients that were in the not-for-profit sector, and the first client I ever got was the Carers Association. So I rang the CEO, or I emailed her, and she rang me and she was like, do not play this down. Don't tell me there's somewhere you need to go. We need to talk. And because she had been a trained social worker, and, you really do need to find the people that will support you. But talking about that client that I was driving to that day, this is where the universe aligned things. I was working on a contract with a smaller distributor of video games, and my old really good mate was working there as the sales director, and I'd come in as a marketing consultant. So I'd go there a couple of days a week, and she would take me to lunch every Thursday. And it's not like she had the time, but she'd been through a really big life-changing event of divorce, very, very young, and she knew that the same stories are going to be going through my head every day, and just all of the problems. And so that was kind of what was happening in the initial period. I stopped working for a few weeks, and then you're expected to start piecing life back together again.
Yeah, I'm going to dip back into that because we will talk about how we piece life back together. I'm just reflecting on your experience, and the things that are picking up for me is when you said, I can remember the day as clearly, and you're reliving that day. When my mum passed away, I do not remember that. All I remember was she was in Sydney. My eldest brother was moving out of home. We grew up in country New South Wales, and she was helping him to move out of home. I'm the youngest, so I've got two older brothers. And Dad came into my room and he said, Mum's not coming back. I'm like, what? And in all honesty, I don't even know if this is a memory or this is what I've told myself. And it was just like, what do you mean? It's my birthday tomorrow. Like, she's in Sydney. He said, yeah, she's not. Mum's gone. And I don't even remember saying whether it happened or not, that she's passed away or anything. And she was 39. And it was just everything from there just went blank for years and years. And it was just like, our responses to trauma and are very, very different. So I just shut down. I just went into this numb void for, I would say probably the best part of, so I was 12, I would say into my early to mid 20s. It was just like I was in year 7 at school. School was just this, I just hated being there. I struggled at school. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. I ended up getting going to business college, getting a job I hated. I was just this angry, shitty teenager that just, oh my God, I told you I would cry.
I can so relate. It makes so much sense.
It makes sense. And it was just this.
You're frozen.
Just
as
frozen.
A core. Yeah.
This frozen fear, and it wasn't till I fell into a job that sort of exposed me to that you can choose to live life differently. So the turning point for me was when I got a job as an executive assistant, and I was just angry and shitty. And, my poor boss, it's like, you make your own cup of tea. I'm not doing that. It's just like, what? You want me to actually take shorthand? No, I don't do that. And I'm just like, oh my God. So he got me a job teaching people to type. And that just opened up this whole world that I did not even know existed about training and development. And I ended up going to university and I studied psychology, and I just got exposed to, my learning actually was my healing, because I got exposed to all of these wonderful things. Because Mum died. We had no counselling. Did you have counselling? Did you have therapy?
Well, I was 31, so it was so different. Yeah. And I definitely, my parents didn't. And I definitely, because my brother had taken his own life, I don't think I even said that earlier. And so if anyone listening needs to talk to someone, just phone Lifeline. They would love to hear from you, and they are very well trained, and they want to hear from you because you're all very important. And that whole thing of support, I knew that I was not going to, I can't even think. I do not have words to describe how I was feeling at that time, because I'm in that headspace of everyone's got this worse than me.
Yeah.
I was the closest with him, but everyone's got it worse than me. So there's no logic. And so I was phoning counsellors, and I was incredibly lucky to stumble upon a bereaved by suicide specialist program that was located quite close by. And I think they had 12 sessions, and I asked my oldest brother to come with me. He's a bit older than me, and he just to come to the information session. And he did, but actually I missed an important bit. There was the first session I had with that lady that was doing her doctorate at the time, Dr. Diana Sands, and she kind of had to probably do a bit of a screening thing to see if I would fit the program or suited the program. And I remember going there and asking her, why did it happen? Definitely. That's what you ask every counsellor. Yeah. And I think with every type of death, why did this have to happen? And then later in the session, I said, when will it get better? Because I felt like a total freak. I didn't know anyone that had that type of loss. I think that just adds to it all. And she seemed so normal, and she'd been doing this work for 20 years, and I just couldn't believe it. And she was still human and normal. And I said, when will it get better? And she went really quiet, and she was really careful with how she answered it. And she just said, well, I don't know. But after a while, sometime, a little bit of light will start creeping in. And you know what? That was all I needed.
Yeah.
Just those words. I was like, right, got it. There's hope.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When my mum passed away, one of the things that I had taken from that, because we had no counselling. I don't even think my dad had counselling. He was in the church, and he had support around him, but it was almost like Mum had passed away. So I learned that it was not, we just didn't talk about her anymore, because it was everybody too sad.
Was it Church of England or Catholic? Or
Church of England, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I took meaning to be that it was not okay to be sad, but it was not okay to be happy. And it was not okay to, it was almost having to live in this martyrdom. And it was never said to me, but that was the message that I took away. And, 12, that's when we're very, very impressionable and have this traumatic event. So for a lot of years, I went, it's not okay for me to enjoy life.
Or so to feel even.
To feel it, but the big thing for me was like, it's not okay to be happy.
Wow.
So I then ended up, I've told this story before, so the way I dealt with it is that I ate, then I became fat and unhappy, and then it was just like, oh, damn, I've got this new shitty problem. But what I found when my niece passed away last year, I went back into that same pattern again.
Wow.
It's not okay to be happy when my brother and his wife have lost their only child, and we were in the middle of this moving to our new property, and it was just like, it's not okay to be happy. I can't enjoy life. And it was just like, I was sitting there one day, Leigh, going, I've been here before. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Tell me what it's like when you're sitting in that, it's not okay for me to be happy. Like, how do you know that that's what you're feeling? I know
it was, the word that comes is traumatizing. My business is called The Happiness Hive. Mm-hmm. And the reason my business is about The Happiness Hive is after Mum passed away, and I finally started to move through that and heal from it. And I made a decision and it was probably in my mid to late 20s, that I'm not going to live like I've been living, sad and angry and just numb, that I'm actually making a conscious decision to be the best version that I can be and to live the best and most beautiful life that I can live. And I made that commitment to myself, and the Happiness Hive has kind of fallen out of that. But I know what it's like to live in that state of sadness and grief. And so it's about helping other people, not just to navigate grief, but other people to live their best and most beautiful lives. So when my niece passed away, it was like so sad for the loss of a young life, but the sadness for my brother and his wife and the cousins and everybody that this beautiful soul had touched. It was like, how can I possibly show up? And I just didn't love life. It was like,
and to tell them all about your new home and the things that you've worked so hard to know. And it's
so
not
I shut myself away.
Yeah.
I did grieve very differently this time. I did get counselling, and I continue to have counselling. I have healing sessions. We talk, we honour, we acknowledge our beautiful niece. So we do it very differently. So I'm not sure if that's answering your question. How did I know? I just felt it within me that it's not okay.
And that's like when a person's feeling that, because I know what you mean, it comes up, and then or when you're certainly in grief, you're so low for so long that when something makes you feel a bit better, you think, oh, I'm not really allowed to do that, and you shut it down or turn away from it. And I think there's such massive gaps between feeling anything other than complete devastation or low mood.
For me, it was like, do you know what it felt like? You know the disco balls?
Yeah.
The glass, it felt like my heart. And so when my niece passed away, this is still grief from my mum. This is grief from my dad. This is lifetimes of grief. But when she passed away unexpectedly, it's like my heart just shattered. That disco ball just shattered. And it's like, will my heart ever come back together again? And I was sort of sitting. So I'm emotional. People know. All those that have been listening, they know that I'm emotional anyway. But this was just like, oh my God. It was gut-wrenching grief.
You describe it so well.
Oh,
and
gosh.
that thing of, for me, I'm so aware of the almost shutting down the heart, because it's so scary, anything like that happening again. And I really relate to what you're saying about feeling like, I don't even know if you even hoped to piece it together again. But that awareness that you're smashed to smithereens, and there's just nothing there for that, really nurturing and creative kind of energy of the heart. Got nothing to give. And it's that got nothing to give, yourself or anyone. It's shut. Shop is shut.
Shut. And then it went into, so my patterns, and I guess I had, grateful that I've got some tools that I can use on myself. And I was able to help others in the family as well with some counselling. And I'm really good in a grief crisis. I'm good in an emotional crisis. I'm not good if you cut yourself. Do not come to me. If you're in an emotional crisis, I'm good. I'm really good.
I think that's why you and I met, because we're very emotional. We have a bit of a cry quite a lot, and
Yeah. But do you know what? So the healing happened. I had to retreat, and I had to go, you know what? I'm letting these feelings, because that's not when I did when Mum died. It was just like I didn't even know what to do, but it was just this time I need to let the emotions out. I need to just observe them, allow them, and I need time to heal. So being near the beach and the coast was just so beautiful for that.
What was helpful for you?
Walking on the beach and being quiet, and the energy of the ocean, talking with family. That was new. That was a new experience after the loss. After Dad died, we did that, but this was a very new experience going, oh, how are we actually feeling?
Yeah, the real story.
Yeah, the real story. And then I guess the thing that happened more recently when my dog got attacked, I've reacted very differently. I have gone into panic mode. So the trauma response is different to grief and loss. It's nervous, it's anxious, it's hyper vigilant. I'm in hyper vigilant mode from
really
being
activated all the time. Yeah.
Have you had that? So you had the horse accident, like you've
Oh,
had.
yeah, yeah. So, and I will say that that relationship breakdown made me very on edge and hypervigilant as well, was not good. And that constant worry about something going wrong, or like in your situation, being attacked, or it's not the right word, but we can use that same energy for my situation. We don't feel safe. And you're just kind of waiting for something to come at you and that type of thing. And I just think that I literally didn't eat at night. I can remember I just didn't really eat, and you do all sorts of weird things because you're just not able to function. You can't relax. You certainly cannot relax. And yeah, gosh, it's a horrible stage.
It's interesting because we're talking about trauma.
Mm.
And I did not, and this might seem really, really weird because I'm still processing this. I've studied psychology, I've studied human behavior, I've experienced grief and loss. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I associated my mum passing away the day before my 12th birthday as being traumatic.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that
wow.
amazing? And I just went, I was studying spiritual psychology at the time, and I met a woman in that group, and she was talking about the vagus nerve.
Yep.
And how, and I must admit, I know a bit, but it intrigues me about how it's all related. And she was saying the way that trauma affects your brain and the shutdown of your brain. After my mum passed away, so when I was at school, I used to just think I was stupid. I was just like, I don't think I read a textbook at school. I struggled. I thought I had some form of dyslexia. It was a trauma response.
And that became your story, I can imagine.
It was my story. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. Like, who am I? Who am I to do this stuff? And then when she talked about that and a trauma response, I went, oh, mum passing away, that's a trauma response. And I heard myself saying it was just like, I've never thought of that as being traumatic before.
And what did that do for you in terms of that acknowledgement of the severity?
It was just like, fuck,
permission.
Of course.
Yeah.
All these, it was almost like, do you know what it was like? It was like a domino. You know, when you drop the domino and all these bits just reprogrammed in my life going, I wasn't stupid. I wasn't all of these things, and that it was absolutely okay. That's a huge impact. And it might seem funny to people when I say that, but it was just like, I just got on with life.
The story is so clear when we're talking about it objectively like this, because you're 12 and you shut down and you can totally confused. You get a really bad story going, a negative story, you shut down and you get on with life. Yeah. And then why do you think that you got that perspective later, after so many years, from the lady in that class? What do you think about that timing?
Oh, goodness, what do I think about that? I mean, it was a coping mechanism for me not to associate it with trauma. I think that might have given me a whole different, I just got on. I always say, there's two parts to me. There's this really super capable, super competent, hyper independent, which is probably a trauma response as well. Very, very capable in life. But then there's parts that are just like, oh my God, I could crumble and I don't have it. I think me not associating with a trauma response is part of that. Just get on with life. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. Because I was thinking maybe that was like you were kind of ready to hear that, because I always think like the universe aligns us with these people and these conversations at the right time. And I totally know what you mean by getting on with it, because after my brother had died, I really quickly, I was like, that's it. This must not happen. This is just not acceptable by me. And people can't just take their lives. And why it's so difficult when you're the person that's left behind or bereaved is for a lot of people, they can become at risk because it becomes an option, something that you would never have thought about. And I thought, that's it, I'm going to start some kind of foundation or something. So that thing like you of taking action, I'm going to do something about this. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to write a book as well, and I'm going to do this foundation. And I rang my accountant, and he's like, I was very sorry for your loss, but like this is so hard. It's too hard. Don't kind of bother. And I thought, okay, it was probably good advice at the time, because like that was probably a week after it happened.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
like, right, I'm into action. And so the universe aligned me with that Bereaved by Suicide group, and I met 4 other women where all of us had been absolutely devastated. The whole group, no one could really sort of get out of bed at that point when we were all going through the program. And we spent those, it must have been 6 months or more together, all these meetings and the work that we did, and understanding the journey of the person that died, and then trying to be in their shoes a little bit, and then taking those shoes off and moving on. And we decided that we would there's a movie called Pay It Forward, and one of the girls was like, oh, we're going to pay it forward. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, that's what we did, is we founded a registered harm prevention charity, and it's called Wings of Hope. And Wings of Hope stands for We Inspire New Growth After Suicide Loss. And this is probably my first introduction to the post-traumatic growth world, and it was another world. Everything about what I was learning was another world. Suicide bereavement for a start, and I am still writing that book, but now it's on sibling suicide bereavement. So I think that sometimes that aspect where we've got our strong self and then our crumbling self, it is good if the strong self can give you enough to do something, like maybe walk a charity walk and raise some money for the cause that you've been impacted by or whatever. You don't have to do what I did.
Yes. To get in and change the world. So tell me about the post-traumatic growth. Because when we were talking about this, we were talking, very much about the trauma responses, but then we both lit up when it was about the post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
I think for those that are listening, this is beautiful. Yep. So you tell me your view of that. Yeah.
So at the time, it's 2007, and I'm being counselled by Dr. Sands, and she's talking about how we're going to grow through this. Now, she probably would never have said that to us at the time because everybody was so traumatised. There were many people that had all varying degrees of involvement in discovering about the loss and all sorts of things. And this idea that not only is life you're going to recover, but that you might grow and change, blew my mind. And unfortunately, when you're living it, you are just going through the motions. And I didn't realise that she would often give us little projects and things that would take us to the next level in some way and help us to keep building something. And I learned more about it over the years, because with me being involved in that charity for 10 years, you have a lot of conversations with bereaved by suicide people, and I started speaking at conferences, and where people that were professionals coming through the ranks as mental health nurses and things like that, they want to meet someone that's had this experience. And you start learning about post-traumatic growth, and it's such a wonderful thing where psychologically we can come to terms with whatever the traumatic experience was, no matter whether it was a huge one or something that was just huge for yourself and impacted you. And you experience maybe grief in losing a part of what your life used to be, just that type of grief, which is always really sad. But to go not just to recovery, but something beyond that where you might get a bigger picture on life is the first aspect I would say about it, for sure.
I wish, I'm just thinking as you're saying that, going, oh my gosh, I wish my 12-year-old version of me understood that. The almost 59-year-old version of me does.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of that healing as well.
Yeah.
The 12-year-old is part of me. Yeah.
How do you think you would have reacted at the time that in some way this is going to be, it's so hard to even say there's going to be some value in this.
Yeah. Oh, in the moment,
No.
not at all.
Yeah.
I can see, mapping back through the eyes of the 59-year-old me, that the event, if I could bring my mum back, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh.
I would do that in a heartbeat. But I can't do that. And that it's about not wasting life. And it took me a lot of years to realise that, and I help people to, like we're having this conversation now that I know will help others. I absolutely know it, Leigh, because that's how these podcasts work. That by sharing our experiences, there will be other women and blokes that will just go, oh, I'm not the only one. And they might just go, I've been affected by this, and I'm going to go and explore some stuff about post-traumatic growth.
You really hit the nail on the head with not wasting that life that you do have, kind of in honour of.
It is in honour. That's one of the things that it was just like, I did a lot of, I didn't do a lot of talk therapy in my later years, but I did a lot of inner work and energy work and things, and there were a lot of releases around it, and I can see that's part of my life experience to help others, to share my experiences and help others navigate theirs. So,
and that journey to being able to allow time, because I think that grief, what does it say? Time, that saying, time heals all wounds. It's totally untrue, but it helps a lot. It makes it more bearable, doesn't it? And it's the support and other conversations and other factors. But I think that for me, I had done a little bit of running before my brother had died, and I probably learned to run, and not very far, but one of the things we had to do in our in our charity was we had a project, and I used to have it with me, the book that we published, which is a book for families bereaved by suicide. We needed to raise money. We didn't have any money. And so we started doing a lot of mini marathons and runs and things. So I've run 14K, 21K, 5K, all of it in honour of my brother. He was amazing. He was very athletic and he probably would have done it easily. And so for me, I couldn't believe that I could do that. And that thing of running and pounding the heels and the vagus nerve and the whole thing, it's such a... you feel I would say that for people that are grieving or navigating anything, certainly walking in nature, and that as well, is such a big connector. And what I've heard is that when we move our eyes from side to side like that, that really helps with engaging both hemispheres of the brain and just calming us, doesn't it? And, it's great that we don't know all these things and we just think, I feel better when I go walking or running or whatever. It's nice to keep things simple and not be...
I think so too. I think so too. Yeah. There is a lot of things that you can do. And I was going to say something that's gone completely out of my head. Getting in your body, I think, is a really good thing to help with the response to trauma. To trauma. And I would highly encourage anybody who's experiencing any, response to trauma, whatever. We all experience it differently. And it was interesting just recently, Leigh, I was reflecting on, the dog attack, and that's hugely affected me. Like, it's affected my confidence. I'm just this bag of nerves that I'm not normally a bag of nerves. And I'm just highly reactive and doing weird reactions. And then I was talking to somebody who talked about a trauma that they had experienced, and I'm just going, oh, my little dog attack, that's nothing. I shouldn't be feeling this way. And I did this whole diminishing of, oh my God, that's ridiculous that I'm affected by, my dog having its neck ripped apart. Sorry, everyone. I won't. But then I went, it's my response, and not to diminish it. So one of the things I want people to take away is however you respond is the way that you are responding. There is no right or wrong. There is no way that we should deal with grief. There is no way that we should deal with trauma. It's about how we do it ourselves and to get support. Like, I would highly encourage people to reach out for support and don't do it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leigh, there's groups around but seek support. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of, oh, I'll be right. Get whatever support that is that you need.
Yes.
And for me, after the dog attack, it's about learning to build my confidence back up the beach is my happy place. I hated the beach for about 2 months because that's where I couldn't go because Boston was still not able to walk. He's good now, but that's where the attack happened, and it was just it was PTSD, post-traumatic stress, and the responses, and I know that, and I'm working through that, and I'm growing through that so I can be strong again. Yeah. And that for me is that post-traumatic growth, that we can be strong from the events, not let them consume us.
Absolutely. And I, love the way that you were talking about honouring whatever an individual unique journey is with grief, because that knowing of ourselves and really honouring of ourselves, you grow up, and as a young child, you're forever told by adults and teachers, shh, speak when you're spoken to, do this, do that, and then we don't even honour ourselves. And it's such a sad situation, but when we can, often with support, it's a good idea to really honour the emotions that come up, because it's vital to know ourselves, because how can we know our potential for growth beyond something that has frozen us or made us feel like running for our lives or stopped our world overnight? How can we know our potential and where we will find energy again to do things, or how we will decide what's right for us to grow? But I certainly know this whole thing around knowing oneself, that gaining that bigger perspective of, for me, what was very freaky was not only did I feel like I'm obviously weird, because this sort of thing only happens to me. I don't know anyone other than Romeo and Juliet or Vincent van Gogh or like fiction. Yeah. So why is it happening in my life? Yeah. And the thing was, someone that my brother, who was perfect, if you can imagine, in a lot of ways, not biased, and but like physically really fit and so capable and everything, can just go. Yeah. And so experiencing any type of loss really close to you, and this I can imagine, well, I can't be, but I can certainly picture 12-year-old you gone, mum's gone. That is just I can understand why that was so difficult in terms of freezing and staying like an emotional 12-year-old for so long with the trauma side of it. And this whole thing of the idea of growing beyond this, I think that people need to not place an expectation on themselves, but if they feel an urge, like me with the charity, I felt that urge. It was a intuitive thing happening. It was not me. I'd never in my wildest dreams thought of something like that. But to create something from nothing where you are like a woman, a crazy woman doing it and committed to it, I think that there's so much that we can give the world when we can take something like surviving cancer or whatever the thing is, when we were really not sure how the outcome was going to be, and then go on and do something great like running a race or whatever. Or maybe not walking a race. That's sort of one day at a time. Yeah. Yeah. Or even just, like being kind to ourselves. Yes. That is growth.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things for me is that grief, I don't think it leaves. Like this is 47 years after Mum's passed away. It's still here. It is still here. It is easier, absolutely, but it just changes. I don't think it's learning to live. I think somebody had described it as it's in your heart, but you learn to live with it in your heart. You're not kind of going, oh, grief done, tick.
Yeah.
It's just different. And then it's when there's other traumatic responses on top of it, it's like, oh, there's a little bit more of that that's coming up as well. So, and it's about, I'm completely okay with that. I think once upon a time, I think because I've shoved the emotions down for so long, you know what, they're cool, they're fine. That's who I am. I own that, and I don't deny that at all.
I love how you described that about the heart. And one of the ladies that was one of the co-founders of the charity said that her mother had said to her, she'd lost her daughter, said to her, it will just find its place within you. It'll find a place within you, this grief, which has become a part of you. And I think that one of the great learnings is we can become to be okay that today is not a good day, and then tomorrow is a little bit better, and that we have up and down days. And I think that there's so much pressure to have perfect life, perfect days, everything's good, da la la la, and it's just not like that. I really love that. Again, it's a self-awareness that some of the days are not good, and then you can phone a friend and it's not good, and that's okay. And there was something else that you said. Maybe I'll come back.
It's to like me. We've kind of got so many thoughts in our heads. The one that just popped up for me when you were saying that is something that really worked for me. Is it's not happy or sad. It's not grieve or move on with life. It's both. It's this and that. I can be heartbroken beyond you can ever imagine. And I can also be really happy and excited for this new life that we're experiencing. I can hold both of those. And that I think I remember going, oh, yes, I can, it's this and that, not this or that. And that was a big breakthrough moment for me. Yeah.
I definitely was in that school of like, I want to do this grief thing, tick, like as you said. That was me 100%, because life was all about, this is one of the post-traumatic growth things, or what the value, or maybe it's not why it happened, but what the value or lesson is I was not mindful. I was thinking about the next minute and the 10 minutes after that one and all of that, and probably operating in a really anxious and forward-looking way all the time. And, that when you talk about feeling like you're either grieving or you're happy, something that's very interesting with that, and where you arrived at, it could be grey and I could be in between, and it could change by the hour and that sort of thing. I think there's a little bit of the grieving me fears being judged when you're smiling, when it's only whatever the right time that you're not allowed to smile is after grieving, and all of these other external things that say when things should be, how things should be at a particular time. It's so wrong.
It's no. And do you know what? When you say that, I judged myself. I felt guilt that there were days that I was going, I feel good today. And it's like, no, hang on, can't feel good.
That's right.
Good. And then it was just like, oh my God. So
it's so exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's exhausting. But it's the growth and the evolution and moving or allowing the emotions to move through you and experiencing them, not letting them get stuck. That's the big thing for me. Not hanging on to them, suppressing them and getting stuck. It's about, I use the word honour. It's honouring my emotions, because they are really important. They might not feel great all the time, but they are really important. So if I can honour myself in honouring those who are no longer here, I don't, even the guy whose dog attacked Boston, that was a shitty thing to do, but I don't hold grudges towards him. Like, he was just a dickhead that, it was just one of those things. It was awful, but that doesn't serve me well to hold grudges about that guy. I don't have enough space in here to hold shit about him. So, Leigh, can I just ask in closing, have you got the details? Is the charity still, like, do we have details of that?
Yeah.
And also the Wings of Hope?
Yeah. So the name is Wings of Hope, and it's the website is www.wings, NGS of hope.com.au. I'm pretty sure because
we'll put it in the show
yeah,
notes.
Yeah.
The link in the show
That's
notes.
right.
So people can link on that and the resources there. I think that would be a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I must say, like when you were talking about people should get support and things like that, there's so much on the Beyond Blue website for people as well. Definitely. It's incredible.
And also the different resources. God, I just had a mental blank then. Yeah, but the different resources that you can access. There, we'll put a few of the links. And please, if this has brought anything up for people, please either reach out to me or to contact the different areas that Lifeline is a great resource, Beyond Blue, and please do get some support.
And a lot of people that I've known like to do a bit of internet research first because it's very hard to talk about what's happened and what are you going to say and all of that. And but there's so much value in the perspective that you will gain in the long run. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That was a super duper long one. We thought it was going to be a long one, but that was a super duper. So you got a double episode, and Leigh will be coming back for another one where we're talking all things energy. So a different energy that we'll be bringing to that.
Absolutely,
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Happy Go Fabulous. I hope you loved it. If you did, could I ask a big favour? Please subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, share the love and let your besties know about the podcast. This will help get it into the hearts and ears of all the gorgeous souls who need a little bit of fabulous in their life. If you'd like some more high vibe happiness in your life, come and visit me on my Happiness Hive socials and make sure you've signed up to my newsletter, your weekly drop of juicy goodness. Pop over to my Happiness Hive website and click on the link Working with Catherine. I'd love to help you make life amazing. Until next time, keep being fabulous.